Let's talk about how we might solve equations when the variables are on both sides of the equal sign. So you can see that we have an x here and we have an x here. And just remember, this is saying whatever x is, we take 4 times that number and subtract 9. And that's got to be the same as when we took that same number, doubled it, and added 3. Now, I think the best way to do this is kind of to get in a system. And my system is to always gather the x's on one side. I usually just move them left. And what I mean by that is that I say I want to have all the x's. I want to subtract the 2x to just zero it out. 2x minus 2x is 0. I don't want any x's on that side. But of course, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So now we combine our like terms. We say, well, 4x's minus 2x's is 2x's. We don't know what x is. And over here, well, 2x minus 2x is 0. So we're just left with 3. And then I like to bring the non-x's to the other side. So we'd say, well, I need to add 9 in order to not have any normal numbers over there. So whatever you do to one, you have to do to the other. Well, negative 9 plus 9 is gone, so I'm just left with 2x. And 3 plus 9 is 12. And of course, now we're to the point where we can just divide both sides by 2 and say that x must be 6. Now, again, I kind of always am consistent. I move the x's to the left, and I move the non-x's to the right side of the equal sign, but it's important to realize it absolutely does not matter. And let me just show you what I mean. If I go back here to the beginning, and instead of moving that 2x, I say I want to subtract 4x so that I don't have any x's to the left of the equal. I'm left with negative 9 equals negative 2x plus 3. And then I want to move the number, the non-x, to the left. Well, negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. Of course, this is 0. Divide by negative 2, and you see we get the same answer. It doesn't matter. The only reason I say that I always move things one way is as people are beginning this, it's just nice to have some consistency. But oftentimes you'll see people that don't want to deal with negative coefficients, like here. They don't want to have a negative 2, so they kind of look for, well, since 4x is bigger than 2x, I want to move this over so my subtraction doesn't result in a negative number. That's fine. You're going to get the same answer either way. I just kind of like the consistency. Let's do another one. In this example, I wanted to have to deal with some negative numbers. And no big deal. I mean, we can just say, well, again, I'm going to move stuff, the x's, over to the left side. So I have a negative 3x. To get rid of it, I'm going to add 3x because negative 3x plus 3x is 0. We're always just trying to get it to be 0. Do the same thing over here. This is gone. So I have 8x. I still have a positive 4. And over here, I have a negative 13. Well, now let's move that 4. To move the 4, to not have a 4, we're going to subtract. And here's where we got to be careful. Because, of course, negative 13 minus 4 is negative 17. You'll see that this answer, when I divide here, this isn't going to come out to be a nice, clean answer. That's fine. Again, I would ask you to kind of check with your teacher. How do they want the answers? I'm a big fan of just leaving it as a fraction, reduced fraction. This is as reduced as it gets, but sometimes teachers like it to be with a decimal. This would be negative 2.125 if you wanted to do it as a decimal. I just prefer fractions. Let's do one more example and involve some parentheses. So you'll see again we have variables on both sides, and we talked about in an earlier video that you maybe had some choices on the order in which you wanted to deal with the coefficients on the parentheses. But I think the best way to deal with it in a situation like this where you've got variables on both sides, you've got multiple coefficients, in front of your parentheses, is just to distribute. Just to say, I'm going to multiply this in like this. And remember, it just gets the entire, 2x plus 1 gets multiplied by negative 3. So we have to do each piece. Same thing over here. So let's do that. We're going to have negative 6x minus 3. We just got to be careful to have our negatives. And then over here, 4 times 2 and 4 times negative 3x. And here we are. Now we're at the point where it kind of looks like the previous problems. I'm going to move the negative 12x. To get rid of a minus 12x, I'm going to add 12x so that it's 0. That. So I'm going to have positive 6, negative 6x plus 12. And then to get rid of that minus 3, I'm going to add, because that makes it 0. So I've got 6x equals 11. And since I'm solving for x, I'm going to divide by 6. And again, personal preference, I'm just going to leave it as that. That's as reduced as it gets. But certainly, if your teacher wants it as a decimal, just check and give the answer in the appropriate way. If this video helped you, please like and subscribe for more math help. It really helps the channel. And I have plenty more videos on geometry, calculus, and statistics.